Nepal, the heart of the Himalayas, home to many of the world's most famous Hindu temples and the tallest mountain in the world, Mount Everest. Nepal is a place that inspires awe. It's also the site of a revolution this past week that tragically ended in the deaths of 72 people. The protests were sparked by the government's plan to ban 26 social media apps, including WhatsApp and YouTube. But this is not a story of Gen Z being terminally online. The social media ban would have stripped the most powerful tools we have to criticize our governments away from the citizens. What we see here is only the snow cap of a mountain of corruption and desperation. This is a fascinating story. One of Nepali Nepo babies and an election run on Discord by 20-year-olds. You may not feel that you know much about Nepal, but take one look at its geography and you start to get the picture. Nepal is nestled between two of the world's largest and most powerful countries, with its northern border resting up against Tibet. Nepal only recently became democratic, but communists have ruled the roost for most of that time. In this episode of Undoctrination, we're digging into Nepal's history, why people are protesting today, and what the future holds for the country. A lot is happening in American politics right now that is frankly devastating, and if you want my personal perspective on everything, you can find my Twitter in the description. But today, I want this channel to take a breath and look to the other side of the globe. America is not alone in the chaos. As horrible news broke in my country, I caught glimpses of the uprising in Nepal through videos of government buildings on fire and protesters running down city streets. And so I dug in. Subscribers know I love an abridged history, so today, our story starts in the late 18th century. Nepal was once a number of separate kingdoms, but in 1768, Prithvi Narayan Shah, ruler of the Gorkha kingdom, conquered and unified the territory he then named Nepal. At that same moment, the Brits were conquering the rest of the Indian subcontinent, so why didn't Nepal become a British colony like its neighbors? The two powers had significant clashes over this period of the late 18th and early 19th century, but at a certain point, like enemies turned to lovers, Nepal and the British Empire called a truce and decided that an alliance would strengthen the both of them. Nepal would receive the protection of one of the world's greatest superpowers, something the tiny nation certainly needed when landlocked by two giants, and Great Britain would receive the Gurkhas, one of the world's most elite fighting forces. General Manekshaw once said, "If a man says he is not afraid of dying, he is either lying or he is a Gurkha." For roughly 2 centuries since its unification, Nepal remained a monarchy, with all of the dramatic familial fighting one might expect when powers pass down through blood.
Families are complicated.
Now, what happened in 1951 shook everything up. Nepal's relationship with democracy over this next period was like a kid dipping his toe in the pool and running away a few times before someone came and shoved him in. After a decade of testing out democratic representation, King Mahendra centralized power once again and banned political parties, calling the system Panchayat. Then in the 90s, King Birendra ended the Panchayat and welcomed political parties once again. The movement behind this was called the People's Movement. Now, if that sounds like a communist dog whistle, then it should come as no surprise that next came the Maoist insurgency of 1996. This violent uprising led to a civil war which lasted about a decade and led to more than 17,000 people losing their lives. In 2008, King Gyanendra abdicated the throne, saying, "I was forced to wear the crown as an uncomprehending child at the age of 3. I have handed over the crown, scepter, and throne to the government." More like he handed it over to communists. This act formally ended the monarchy in Nepal, the last Hindu kingdom in the world. Since then, 17 years ago, no government has completed a full 5-year term, and there have been 14 prime ministers. Apparently, Nepal is trying to make up for lost time by speedrunning democracy. Stability seems elusive for Nepal, but what makes this uprising so significant is the scale, who is organizing it, and what they want. Make no mistake about it, this is a Gen Z-led revolution organized on Discord and TikTok against communist leaders. I feel like we're playing Mad Libs. Just before the protests kicked off, a trend went viral on TikTok where Nepali users compared the lives of Nepo babies, or the children of wealthy government officials, to the average young person. They seem to reveal a universal truth that communism makes everyone poor, except for those in charge, and their Nepo babies, of course. The government's Living Standards survey revealed an abysmal unemployment rate of 12.6% of its 30 million people. In fact, 741,000 Nepalis left just last year to find work outside of Nepal, usually in Gulf countries as laborers, which is a very hard life. So it tells you something about the conditions at home. 22-year-old Nepali woman Darshana Padal told ABC, "Everyone is flying out of the country for jobs. People are facing poverty here. The roads are terrible. Development has not been happening because these politicians are keeping all of the money in their pockets. This is affecting our future." In response to growing dissatisfaction and regime-critical trends online, the government moved to ban 26 platforms, citing that they had failed to comply with the country's rules. Understandably, many took this as speech suppression and said enough is enough. The protests were a widespread grassroots operation, with the organization Hami Nepal spreading information through social media channels like Discord and Instagram. One organizer, Ronesh Pradhan, said, "The voices of young people matter. We can't keep being ruled by the same old men." Sound familiar? The protests began on Monday, September 8th, in the capital city Kathmandu and soon became bloody. According to news outlets, the violence began when protesters attempted to breach the parliament building's wall, and the government's security forces opened fire. And after that, all hell broke loose. In a last-ditch effort, the government rescinded the social media ban and set a curfew for the city, but it was too late. The protests were clearly much deeper than angst over the specific government action that triggered them. And now that police had fired shots that killed several protesters, things were going to escalate. On Tuesday, protesters set fire to the government's parliament building and Supreme Court, as well as ministers' homes. This is where we got the now infamous video of these same protesters rescuing the disabled wife of a minister who fled, leaving her behind. Both the Prime Minister, KP Sharma Oli, and the Interior Minister, Ramesh Lekek, stepped down, handing the protesters a resolute victory. But come Thursday, a new question emerged. What's next? While the army took control of the streets, over 10,000 young people joined a Discord channel arranged by Hami Nepal called Youth Against Corruption, where a debate was taking place. 6,000 more joined from a YouTube live stream. And at the same time, a pro-monarchy Discord group discussed the possibility of restoring stability through reinstating the king. Many of the users, weary and skeptical of bad actors, organized a fact-checking channel to dispel rumors and enforce integrity. And after several hours of debate, an interim prime minister was chosen. 73-year-old Sushila Karki, former Chief Justice, was chosen for her record fighting corruption in Nepal. She is committed to holding elections in March of next year and administering free treatment for those injured in the uprising and 1 million rupees, or $7,100, to the families of those who died. As I mentioned before, the death toll is officially 72 people, with thousands more injured in the chaos and clashes with law enforcement. What exactly the protesters want seems less ideological on its face and more rooted in the material circumstances on the ground. While Nepal itself is not a communist totalitarian country, it's better described as democratic socialist, the three parties who have ruled the country all come from a somewhat similar ideological background. The Nepali Congress Party, although not staunch communists, are democratic socialists. The Communist Party of Nepal are communists of the Marxist-Leninist influence, and the Maoist Center Party are communists influenced by Chairman Mao of China, the same ones who launched an armed rebellion against the monarchy in the late 90s. This might get me in trouble in the comments, but these are all the same dish with different flavors. It's like every country having its own version of empanadas. The corruption these protesters are responding to is endemic in an ideology that doesn't support private property and industry. The material circumstances they are responding to are a natural consequence of government control over the economy. My hope is that in the aftermath of this revolution, Nepalis are able to enjoy the enriching effects of a free market and limited government. It's not enough to simply vote for better leaders. You must remove the ability for bad actors to exercise this power over the people at all. I am wishing the best for Nepal and can't wait to see what happens come March. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, maybe subscribe if you haven't. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for supporting this channel. I love what I do and I am so grateful to you for watching and learning about the world alongside me. Be sure to leave me a comment telling me your thoughts on this Gen Z revolution, and I will see you all next week. Ciao!